What's your favorite place you've ridden? Number one place.
So there's a couple. I have a couple different answers for this. I think the best trail center in the world is.
Let's go! All right, you got it? Yeah!
Hello, everybody. Sebastian here, and welcome to the first episode of our new podcast series called Biker Talk. Today, we are joined here with Alex.
Hello, welcome guys to our brand new podcast. This is gonna be a weekly thing, every Wednesday for the next 8 weeks. It's gonna be a guest-based podcast, so every week we're gonna try to bring on someone cool from the mountain bike community, whether that's a YouTuber, someone from a bike brand, or one of the bike resorts like Horseshoe, Blue Mountain, etc. And it should be pretty interesting to get to talk to these people. And Sebastian, who do we have on today?
Well, today we are extremely lucky. We are joined here with a YouTuber with well over 60 million channel views, over 400,000 subscribers. So I'm welcoming Brian from BKXC. Hey, Brian.
Hello, hello.
How are you today?
Did I'm good. Did my thing actually turn on? I don't see myself now.
Oh, wait, it's loading in.
I think the camera's loading in now.
We have an extremely
There we
large
go.
live audience, which seems to be causing a little bit of lag on the Discord, but
Wow.
it's okay.
Loving the
Good.
background, the whole bike shed, the BKXC in the middle there.
Oh yeah,
Very
the
nice. Very
Nugatorium,
nice.
baby.
Yes. Love it. Alex, we need one of those. Pronto.
Yeah, we do. We need to get a bike house somewhere where there's actual mountains and it's not as flat as Ontario.
Very nice.
So how's
Very
it
nice.
how's it been in California over the past year of just mayhem?
Man, that's kind of been the crazy thing is that I was out on the road so much in 2020 that I was in my van. I was, staying at different places. I was just traveling every day. So I hadn't been home very often. I was home for a good chunk, maybe last April. I think that's when it was. And yeah, it's funny. There was, everything's kind of different with order online, go pick it up, and try to stay distanced and stuff. And everybody says like, oh my God, California, that's like the worst. But I have a big family and no one I know got sick. I don't know anybody that got sick, like maybe a friend of a friend kind of thing. So the people I know did their part. They wore their masks, they got distanced, and hopefully we'll get through it soon.
That's a good one. Really hoping we get through something soon. Gotta hit up those
Yeah.
bike parks and whatnot. The good ones were closed last year.
Yeah.
Same with traveling and all that. Yeah, so
Yeah, so
go ahead, Alex.
you were like or not midway, but you were still in your 50 state shred that series when the pandemic hit. What was it like? Did you think that you would have to stop that series?
Yeah, I was worried. It was weird because just we didn't know really anything. I thought there was going to be like laws where you couldn't travel from state to state in the United States, which is against the Constitution, but you could put everything on pause because of this health thing. And so I just wanted to kind of be back home. That's when I had first met my girlfriend, Sarah, and we were hanging out in North Carolina. And I was like, hey, do you want to come home with me? And we could hang out in California and just ride the storm out for who knows how long it'll be. Maybe it'll be a month. Maybe it'll be 6 months. Who knows? So, because I had been staying at Seth's house at Burn Peak at that time, and I was like, oh man, I was already there for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to stay here forever. I got to actually be back home, and if I'm back home, at least I can control what I'm doing. If I was just stuck at Seth's house, it's like, okay, what videos am I going to make? I can help him make features, but that's not my own videos that I would be making.
Yeah, so to say the least, COVID has affected how your videos have been coming out, or it's kind of the same thing.
No, it was pretty. I'm pretty amazed. I still was able to get to 49 states. I only missed Hawaii. That was the only state that I missed because of COVID, because I had a flight planned and there stuff was gonna open up, but then it got shut down again. And because Hawaii depends so much on tourism, and
Yeah.
they were very much like, oh, stay out. Let's not do this. Let's not buckle the system. But yeah, it I definitely wanted to go to more places. I wanted to spend time in more different places, but I still made it work and I still got it going. And it was I'm pretty amazed looking back at just how how much time I lost, but it didn't really matter. It was fine.
Yeah, that series is like a mountain biker's dream, just being able to travel around like that and your last state that you visited, I'm pretty sure was Alaska. That was pretty cool because I don't think like how many people think that there could be mountain biking in Alaska, or I think a lot of people probably don't even remember that people actually live up there and it's not just a snowy tundra.
Definitely. There's so many ideas about Alaska. Yeah, it's just when you think of Alaska, you think of snow. You think of just hard packed Iditarod, huskies going through on a sled. But it had some really cool stuff. It's funny how anywhere there's people, when summer hits, it's probably pretty nice. Even the highest and the weirdest, harshest places, you'll be there in summer and be like, what, it gets to negative 40 degrees every day here and during the winter? I don't understand it, but yeah, Alaska was super cool.
Yeah, and the thing that I find cool about it is like you can like talk about BC and Whistler and like Sedona and all that kind of stuff, but like it's pretty incredible that in like the low key states or low key provinces, there's some pretty cool things that you can go and ride there. It's I don't know,
There's
just pretty
always one thing.
always
There's
something.
always
Yeah,
at least one good trail system. A lot of people were worried about Kansas or Iowa, and these places, they all had at least one good solid trail system. And it's so neat to see that, oh wow, there's people everywhere, almost everywhere, that there's good terrain making good trails.
yeah, it's pretty sick.
So, what do you think of the changes in the mountain bike community because of the pandemic? There was a huge boom. Bikes are running out. I know our store County Cycle, they've been really low on bikes. So, what do you think about all that?
Oh man, it's so interesting, the whole supply chain side of biking, and I'm kind of privy to some of that information. I'm more of an outsider on that. So I've heard of like, oh, the Taiwanese factories, oh, they're shut down, but now they're back, and then oh, the big mountain bike manufacturers, they ordered millions of parts and they're going to like try to just go gung ho and just make millions of things cuz maybe they think the supply or the demand is still going to be going crazy, so they want to just make sure there's plenty of supply. And then you talk to bike shop owners and stuff, it's like, oh, we can't get Shimano brakes, we can't get this, we can't get that, oh, we ordered this and we were able to get it. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and what I
So
find very
you mentioned the sorry, Seb,
go ahead,
you can
Amit,
go.
go ahead. Okay, what I found very interesting
Discord.
is like if you go on the bike market in general, you'll have a lot of people that like have $1,000 bike brand new, and they'll be trying to sell it for $2,200, and people are paying the price. Like, I don't know about that. Like, it's a little, I don't know
It's
about it.
supply
I
and
mean,
demand, man. It
yeah,
like my house in California is somehow worth 400,000 US dollars, but 30 years
exactly.
ago it was like $25,000. So if
Yeah,
people are
exactly.
willing to pay the price, then good on them. At some point,
Mhm.
that's all going to fall out. And if you try to build your entire life around that, then it's not going to be very sustainable. But if you do a little bit of hustling and people are willing to pay it and they're happy to pay it because that means they're actually going to get on the trails, I can't fault them too much. It does feel a little shady, but if that's what the market is willing to pay, it is what it
Mhm.
is.
I walked into a big box store the other day, and I noticed one thing is like I guess the shops and whatnot ordered a whole bunch of bikes when the pandemic hit, and they were so delayed that they only got them in the middle of the winter where now nobody wants them. So I was walking in a store and they had rows and rows of bikes. It was just taking up rows out of the sporting department as well. I'm like, wow, really turned in. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens once the weather starts to get warmer, if they're all going to be sold out or if they're just going to have a whole bunch of back stock.
Yeah, because you guys have that whole psychology of that first day of like, whoa, it's
Yeah,
actually nice and warm. Then everybody's like, yeah, let's get out, let's get out. And I find that in all the northern climates that people are so active and so healthy and they love the outdoors so much because they get so holed up during the winter.
exactly. Yeah. All right, Alex, you got a question, right?
Yeah, it was just since we were on the topic of bikes, I just wanted to ask you because there's so many bike brands out there. It's just hard to even keep up with all of them. So I wanted to ask you about why did you choose Ibis, or what is it about Ibis that is the bike brand for you?
There's so many good reasons for the Ibis. I've got my Ibis Haka in the background right now. I've got my Ibis Ripmo at the shop right now because I'm getting some parts put on and swapped out. But man, it was such a a natural, cool relationship. So Scott Nickel, the founder of Ibis, he's still one of the owners of Ibis. I talked to him at maybe Sea Otter, and then I talked to him at Outer Bike, and then I ran into him on the trail. And this is while I was riding the Orbea Rayon or my other bikes, and then I ran into him on the trail again. So it was like really just cool that he kind of knew what, because I would talk about, hey, I've got this YouTube channel, I'm doing this thing, and it was just this very natural relationship of, hey, yeah, I'm doing this thing. And Ibis, I think they probably a little bit through me and a little bit through just knowing the terrain kind of saw like, wait a second, we spend this money like sponsoring these people, and like who sees it? And then you can actually see on a YouTube video if I'm riding the Ripmo around and, oh wow, they do this. I think one of the first little things we did with that relationship was they sent me a Mojo HD4, and I took it to Switzerland, and that was maybe 2017. And you could see like the views on that video really good. It's like, wow, I got to show off that bike in that video. It's something people wanted to see. It's like a natural thing. And yeah, I think they really are keen on the whole YouTube thing. And they're local, kind of, sort of. Santa Cruz is maybe 2 hours from here where their office is. And then with traffic, it's like 3 hours. But it's local-ish, you know. It's still within the realm of the Bay Area, Northern California and stuff. And it's just neat. It's a two-way street, you know. I love what they're doing. They like what I'm doing. You have to have that kind of back and forth relationship. And I guess I could ride another bike from another bike company, but they don't know who I am. They don't understand what I'm doing. They've never heard of me. So you need that little back and forth for it to work.
Oh yeah, 100% agree. And like, you look at it like 5-10 years ago, somebody would look at someone making mountain biking YouTube videos and they'd be like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. They're not a pro racer, whatnot. But like, I feel like when brands start sponsoring with the YouTubers and whatnot, they can go to a consumer in more of a direct way, because a YouTuber mountain biker will relate more to your average customer than like a pro racer. Because at the end of the day, not everybody wants to go out there and, you know, shred Red Bull Rampage or whatnot, or go crazy enduro races. They just want to get out there and enjoy the bike. So
definitely. Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm at that level where it's like, yeah, I go and ride all these different trails. I give you good recommendations on where I think you guys should ride. And when you go out and do that, you're like, wow, that was so cool. That was so fun. So I am just a man of the people, and just to get people to see that, yeah, you don't have to be the fastest, the baddest, the craziest, doing the biggest jumps. You can still have a blast on these bikes and push yourself to the limit pretty good.
Exactly.
So Brian,
go Alex.
every time.
It's your first
Can you
one.
tell
You're
we're
still,
new at this?
you're still like the cadence of like, you know, like, oh, you just asked, then I asked, then you asked, then you asked. You'll get it.
Thank you, Brian. What's your favorite place you've ridden? Number one place.
Exactly
Man.
what I was about to ask.
Cool. So there's a couple. I have a couple different answers for this because there's different, you know, things. So I think the best trail center in the world is in Quebec, in Sentier-du-Moulin in Quebec, and Lac Beauport. It's so good because it's one place where you can show up and go ride all these different trails, and it's so awesome. Have you guys ever been? How far is that? That's pretty far for you guys since you're in Toronto area, right?
Quebec, it's about a 6-7 hour drive. I was actually, thought of the idea of going up to Quebec this summer. I planned on going to Mount Tremblant if things go a little lower, you know, with Alex, and, you know, maybe do some, you know, camping, bike packing, whatnot, shred some of the stuff. Because the store partners were with County Cycle. Every year they go on like a big trip to somewhere. So I think last year they went to Quebec.
Cool.
And they said they loved it and it was great.
Yeah, highly recommend it because, yeah, 6 hours, 7 hours, it's not that bad. You get there in a day. And then my other favorite place is Spain, and doing like a whole week of riding with YBMTB in the Pyrenees. And you guys have probably seen those videos, but it's just a neat experience where you just show up with your bike and they feed you, they house you, they transport you, they guide you. It's just this curated experience that is just, it's so fun, such great riding, old hiking trails, and you get to see all this Spanish culture face to face out in the country. It's so cool.
That's really cool because all you got to worry about is the biking, and they feed you and everything.
Yeah, stay healthy, don't crash, and just enjoy it.
Exactly. So Seth has picked up other hobbies during this quarantine, like the rock crawler RCs and whatnot. Is there any, like, you know, cool little hobby that you've picked up through COVID?
You know, I do watch a lot of YouTube. I really like stand-up comedy. That's like kind of my thing. You can't really go to any stand-up comedy shows now, but
Yeah.
they've been doing these Zoom stand-up comedy shows, which have been pretty cool because everyone has their microphone and their screen on, and the comic goes in one window, and you have laughter, and they can hear, and they can kind of riff on the crowd and stuff. But then sometimes they don't have their mic and their headphones set up, so then it like reverbs through, and it's all screwy. But that's been kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. I've never heard of those. That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that they're adapting that way.
Yep. Everyone has to.
A lot of industry has to. Yeah, exactly. Definitely
Yeah,
has.
I don't know, the pandemic and the shutdown and everything, like, I don't know. It's just kind of put like a halt to society, but at the same time a way for it to advance differently. Like grow differently.
Yeah, it's so funny with like, people having to set a date or want to do a vacation or do this or that. Like I know all these people who had their weddings, but they never had their party for the wedding. They just went and got the county, certification thing. So now it's like there's going to be a queue of like all these people like, "Oh, I want to have my wedding party and do all that stuff." And then you think about how it used to be. Now you guys are a little younger, but when I was going to work and going to school and stuff, when you were sick, you just went to work. You didn't. Who cares? You're coughing. You're sneezing. You're like, oh no, I'm not sick enough to stay in bed. But now I think it's going to be pretty clear that everyone for the next 20 years or so, I think everyone's going to be like, oh crap, you're sick, you stay home. That's all. That's what
Yeah.
you do. Even if you have maybe even a little bit of a sore throat, you're going to wear a mask. Like even though it seems weird, if everyone else is out and healthy, if you just feel kind of off, I think everyone is going to wear a mask now when they feel just kind of weird. And how cool is that? That might actually like help people, like so many people, and people won't tragically die from the flu if they're older and that kind of stuff. So it could be really neat for us to kind of change
Yeah.
our mindset. But then, of course, in 20 years, it'll all be gone because it's the Spanish flu. There's always been epidemics, and they even had masks way back in 1918. And there was a whole thing about Colorado getting fed up with wearing the masks, and then they took their masks off during the Spanish flu, and they got wiped out even harder and stuff. So it's like everything just repeats itself.
Yeah, hopefully there's
How long
like,
do you
at
think it's
least
gonna be? How long do you think it's gonna be until we get back to normal?
Oh man, that's the toughest thing. It's like the herd immunity and the vaccinations and all that stuff. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I hope by July we get stuff pretty sorted out. How are the vaccines going in Canada?
uh, I have no clue. I think they're only getting like very limited amounts of it. And
America
I
bottom all
believe
up.
yeah, I
Yeah, I mean,
believe
you guys have stolen right about every single vaccine ever created ever. Just
yeah, I don't know, because I believe, yeah, there's very limited amounts, and I think they're going to like all the frontline people first, and they're kind of just
Yeah.
going down the chain a little before they release it to the general public and whatnot.
Yeah, the news here, it seems like it started with the front line and actually is already starting to kind of trickle to the lower and lower groups of, slightly less older people.
Because I've heard of a few people that got it, but I'm like, well, that's funny because I've never heard of it. So, who knows if they're being serious about it or just saying it, whatnot, so people don't be like, oh, you have COVID or something like that.
Yeah.
Then we also got another variation of it as well from like Europe and South or Africa or
Yeah.
something like that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's always going to be different strains of it. More to worry about.
I mean, one of the
Hopefully,
bigger problems is just people don't really trust the vaccine. They don't. They think that it's going to do bad things to them. And there have been reports, obviously, as with any vaccine, that there have been some people that have negative reactions to that, which is scaring other people away, especially for the fact that you have to get 2 doses like a month afterwards. And it sounds not the best symptoms you get from the vaccine, but it's the outcome from getting the vaccine is that you don't have to worry as nearly as much
Oh,
about getting
definitely.
COVID.
And it's so funny because the biggest risk we all take is getting in our cars. Anytime you're driving in a car, that's how most people die in the United States
Yeah.
and Canada. And it's like we don't even think about that risk whatsoever. But this other thing can just get us all fired up, and it is important. People have died, but it's just life is all about trade-offs and risks and managing risks. I mean, mountain biking, holy moly, it's so dangerous. Most people we know have gotten injured some way. Luckily, I don't know anyone who's actually died or been paralyzed mountain biking, but it's all a part of getting out and living. We can't live without taking risk.
Yeah, I believe the only death from mountain biking I've heard of was at a local, but somebody went on to off to a hiking trip and kind of went off the cliff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Right, Alex? Kelso?
There's some stories I've heard at Kelso about some people breaking their back. I've heard that, but I haven't heard too many major ones. I think Ontario, compared to a lot of other places, I think what we lack is a difficulty of trails, because although we definitely have some trails that are difficult and that I think even more experienced mountain bikers than Sebastian and I would consider difficult. There's just not a lot of it, especially because we just don't have a lot of elevation, so we don't have a lot of downhill.
Yeah.
And there's
Not
not really
many
much we
grizzly
can do about
bears.
that. No, no bears. Yeah.
I mean, it depends where you
I
are.
think we have a
A little
decent
up north, might find
community.
some bears.
Yeah, it's because most of the Ontario population is in the south, and when the south is pretty flat, that's why they built cities there.
Yeah.
And like a lot of our nice, pretty areas are way away from civilization, which means like a lot of driving to actually away
Yeah.
from civilization in the GTA.
I'd say to get some decently good elevation trails, it's 2-hour drive. About two, yeah, maybe three.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you go up there for a day, it's not a whole lot of riding. Well, I mean, you can get a day out of it, but then those places that are only 2-3 hours, it's only worth the day. You wouldn't go there, stay the night, ride the next day as well. There's nothing big enough or enough in an area to be able to do that, unless you're going to the bike parks or whatnot.
Okay.
Oh,
But
have you
Quebec
ever
would
come up to
definitely.
Ontario?
I've heard good things about Hydrocut. People really
Oh.
seem to like
Good one.
Hydrocut a lot, and then I think even in Toronto, there's a whole system of city trails kind of thing where you're kind of in and out
Don
of
Valley.
the city. Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good trail systems.
What's the
Hydrocut's
best?
definitely. I would, ooh, I would put, even though I'm a very diehard Kelso person because that's where I grew
I
up
give it to
mountain biking. That's
Hydrocut.
where I learned. I would give it to Hydrocut. I would give Hydrocut as the best place to mountain bike. But we are very XC oriented. It doesn't seem like the majority aren't XC racers, but we have just because of our elevation, like we said,
Yeah.
it's a lot of XC,
Mhm.
that sort of thing.
XC and road
It's all right.
bikers.
We manage.
I mean,
We do
hey,
our
if you ever
best.
want to come down, we'd be more than happy to show you around. Meet up
Yeah.
on some cut or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Have to wait till the border is open back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hydrocut, Blue Mountain. Could make a week
Horseshoe's
out of it.
good.
Horseshoe, yeah.
We'll plan you a whole trip.
Yeah.
We'll do everything for you. All you have to do is come.
Yeah.
It's our offer.
Be great fun.
So, Brian, which one is better, Shimano or SRAM?
Man,
Ooh,
it's a
mountain biker question.
Tough
it's an
question. It's a
interesting
tough
question because the SRAM stuff, they seem to be innovating. Everything's expensive always, but when companies come out with new stuff every year, it's okay, at least we're paying a little bit for research and development, and everything's so expensive that they can actually upgrade and keep moving bikes forward. Man, if you look at mountain bikes 10 years ago, so much has changed and so much has advanced, and it sucks that these bikes are so expensive, and I complain as much as anyone else. But it's neat that we keep pushing forward, and I think that SRAM is pushing forward so much with the wireless shifting stuff and the doing the Eagle, the big gear first, and then Shimano kind of was like, okay, it's good enough. We're gonna do it too. And Shimano's kind of a faceless corporation. It's blue,
like
it's gray.
Side. Like, let's let all the other
Yeah,
guys go in and try it. If they fail, then we'll just stay where we are. But if they do well, let's go in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's a safe way to run a business versus experimenting and trying and failing and doing things. And yeah, and SRAM's just been good to me. They're like I know a couple of the people there, so it's like, okay, they do this, they do that. I have a little SRAM thing here. I've got a little rocker paddle thing for my SRAM Eagle shifter that I have forgotten to put on for like a month now.
Yeah, because I've had a fair share of both brands. But I haven't tried the new 12-speed from Shimano, but my new bike that I'm getting comes with that. So just waiting on that bike to be finalized, but I had some car repairs I had to deal with.
Oh man.
Engines going, insurance just randomly going up in the new year and whatnot. But the Growler I built up, that had a SRAM GX with an NX cassette, just so you didn't have to finick with all the hub and whatnot. And honestly, my Fuel EX had the SRAM GX as well, and just the click and the shifter on the SRAMs is just so much more satisfying than the Shimano. And yeah, I don't know.
The big thing for me, the big thing for me is SRAM just looks better. The silverness of the Shimano looks like it's way, way too outdated now. And I think, especially with SRAM, they have their rainbow cassettes and they're offering these different colors that you can interchange, even though their rainbow cassettes like $600 Canadian, which is like a lot of money to think about spending on a cassette. But performance aside, the SRAM ones are just miles ahead in looking modern and looking new. That's what I think.
Definitely.
But I have to admit, actually, no, I don't know about that. I was going to say, I don't know. Shimano's brakes. Okay, now I don't know. It was before that the SRAM brakes were just a little unreliable.
Yeah.
And they'd have, the issues with the super squishy lever to bar issues on them.
Yeah, they had to change the whole name, the Avid Brakes.
Yeah.
They just got rid of the name because it had such a bad reputation. And now they're going to have to fight their way out, which is almost better, where you have to rebuild it from scratch and you have to win everyone back over and you have to prove it and be like, hey, these are awesome. I'm actually going to get rid of the Shimano brakes on my bike and put on some new code RSC brakes on the Ritmo and try it out for the first time in a long time. I've been running Shimano brakes for a few years now.
See, I recently got a new bike and it has SRAM code R's on them. And from what I heard over time, that the SRAM ones were a lot more like squishier. You have more, I forgot the word, but
Modulation.
Yeah, modulation, that's it. And honestly, I don't really actually find that big of a difference between the brakes of the SRAM, because I had two piston Shimano SLX on my old one, and now I have four piston Code R on my new bike, and you can definitely tell that it's more powerful brake, but it's also not an entirely fair comparison. But I honestly thought that there would be a bigger difference.
Yeah,
But I don't
I think
find
it's
that much
funny.
difference.
We're a little smaller. I think the weight of our category is a little different. Like once you start getting 180, 200, 250, I think people really start to tell the difference in brake power and because so many people say, oh,
I'm
Shimano
like,
is.
brake stops me. I just hit them and they'll stop me.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with brakes not being able to stop my body weight.
Totally. So it's like
SRAM
some people say it's on off versus that modulation thing, but I think they just might be a little heavier than us.
Yeah.
I was watching your new bike check video from probably a couple months now when I was just doing some research and stuff, and I noticed you really bashed SRAM's electronics things like the reverb and the
app.
axis shifting. And the app especially, you really bashed them. What do you think SRAM should be focusing on when they're releasing their new wireless shifters or droppers, when they're improving them or updating them?
See, I think the quality of the products themselves, like the actuation, the when you're out on the trail, I think it's great. And for me, I drive so much in my car. I have the bike in the back of my car, so the components are always kind of turning on and off. So making sure the batteries are charged is kind of on me, but I wish the batteries would stay charged longer. But my real headache was with the app. The app was just I haven't really checked on it again recently, but it's just so bad, and trying to pair this device and master slave to this, and you have to set up your derailleur first and then pair your derailleur to your dropper post. It was just, oh, it sucked so bad, because we all take for granted how seamless things are now. I had a pair of Bose headphones, which were, Bluetooth. Boom, you switch them. You switch to this, switch to that. Now I just got a pair of Sony headphones. They don't switch the Bluetooth from my phone to my computer. It's like all of a sudden you're taking a step back of how technology used to be when I was 13 years old, and you had to mess with it all the time and unplug it and plug it back in, where it's like, we should be moving forward and stuff should be super dialed in and not this weird hodgepodge of that.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I like the cool innovation of the electric stuff and the wireless shifting and whatnot, but the battery life is something like I'd forget to plug it in or something and then have a ride the next day and get to the trail and realize, oh shoot, forgot to plug in my derailleur battery or whatnot, right? So I'd just be sitting there, and it'd be cool if they could integrate like on the, what is it, seat tube or something, like a solar panel type of thing, because you're outside all day, so it could just charge it through, I don't know, solar power. That'd be pretty.
The saddle
On the
would
top
cover
tube,
it, though.
yeah.
Where would you put it? Where would you
Seat
put the
tube?
solar panel?
Yeah, maybe the top tube, because that's the thing that's
Yeah.
hitting the sun the most.
Mhm.
That would be interesting.
And then for like the shifter, you could like put your bars would kind of cover it there. But I don't know, it'd just be cool if they could find a way so that in case you forget to charge your batteries, there's still a way to charge it while you're riding.
Yeah, and that's the thing with technology. It's like that battery is so big, but why is it that big? Is it the actuation? Is that what's taking the most power? Like, is there a way to just keep iterating and making it better, where it's like, oh yeah, the Bluetooth low energy, boom, that's a very small amount of energy. The actuation of the shifter, that's a very small amount of energy. Then all of a sudden you can make the battery half the size and last twice as long, and all that stuff that kind of hopefully will keep coming and keep coming.
Exactly, yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Where do you think the future of mountain bikes go? When you look into the future, maybe 5 or 10 years, where do you think mountain bikes are gonna go?
Man, it's more sensors, definitely a lot more sensors. Like I'm pretty sure SRAM, I saw some spy shot or something like that, or patent, where it's like we should have sensors in our front fork and our shock constantly. They should automatically be adjusting. They should, they should know who we are. They should take our weight and all that stuff and just set it up for me. Like, okay, what am I doing? What is the rebound? Like just 3 little settings: harsh, medium or soft, and just take all this guesswork out of it. We're still doing all these clicks and the rebound and all that stuff. I'm sure people mess with it, and there's a certain layer of people who know what they're doing, but the 90% of people, they're like, okay, I just set it up in the middle because that's the recommended setting. There's got to be more and more sensors, more and more, almost like anti-theft too, because every single frame should have a chip in it with like a 3G modem that can communicate back and say, hey, where's my iPhone kind of thing, but where's my bike? The bike's so expensive, another $100 thing that has a battery that you change every 6 months. If you ever look at Amazon, they have a bunch of these little devices now that they've gotten smaller and smaller, and now that nobody uses the 3G spectrum, like we're all on 4G or all on 5G, like all that data is super cheap, where it just has to send out like a little ping every 30 minutes. Here's my location.
Exactly. I wouldn't mind spending like $10 a month, knowing that if my bike gets taken, I'll be able to follow it wherever it goes.
Oh yeah, and like realistically, I bet they could get away with $3 a month, and everybody would be happy. It's like there hasn't really been a real bike insurance play yet. It's kind of too expensive to insure your bike. But if that is bike insurance, where it's a little device that you can fit in your frame, and the thing is, it's like you almost need a little secret spot. Like bike companies almost need like a little, how do you do it so thieves don't know that they can pull it out? That kind of, there's many layers to it, but that should be very, very close. Somebody should really figure that out.
That seems like a really good idea. Because I know, like, I've never having my bike stolen. I don't really know anyone that's had their bike stolen, but I can't really imagine like getting up in the morning or whatever, trying to go for a ride, and like your bike's just gone, and just the thing that you spend, so like, especially how much money we spend on bikes these days. to
All the
get like
time
the
it took to
components and
save
stuff?
up, all the work, all the lawns you got to mow. Yeah, I had 2 bikes stolen from my garage years ago. It was actually when I had started my channel. When
Yeah,
it
I
gets
think I saw
really
that
really
video.
hot. Yeah, when it gets really really hot here, and doesn't cool down at night, it's like ridiculous. And I left my garage door open to kind of cool off the house because the garage is attached to the house and kind of get a breeze going. And I totally forgot to put my garage door down, and it was garbage night or garbage day. You know, you put your garbage cans out, and there's always scroungers and people like going through trash cans on garbage day. And I invited them. I just had my garage door open, my bikes were in there, and I woke up in the morning. I was like, oh no, they're gone. And it's brutal. But yeah, with the little GPS thing, boom, track them down, go find them. Hey, those are mine, give them back, and then it's done.
Did you end
Yeah,
up finding them?
No, I never did. I put in insurance claim with AAA, my renter's insurance, and they replaced them at the replacement value. Not like, oh, if you were going to buy another one, it's like if you were going to buy a new Yeti bike right now, here's the replacement value. And that whole process was actually really, really nice after feeling like totally violated and something being stolen. That after paying thousands and thousands of dollars in insurance and never using it for my auto insurance, it's like, okay, this renter's insurance actually paid off for only $200 a year or whatever it is. It's so trivial that they'll actually replace that stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, my younger brother had his bike stolen out of our backyard, but that's about it. I mean,
Brutal.
never saw it again, so I don't know. People that just like walk onto your property, I don't know, it just feels
Yeah.
feeling.
It's like you got to be shameless and you got to be desperate. That's the thing too. It's like everybody's going through something, and there's an easy way. If you can actually get rid of a bike and sell it for $500 or $200, then it's an easy $200 in your pocket, and maybe it gets you through the next week.
So back to bike and technology. So like 10 years ago, 26-inch tires, everyone had them. Then it went to 27, then 29er. You think we're getting bigger. Now we got like
Maybe if
29
it,
plus, like those things. When you run the tire pressure and they're rolling, you got like a 32-inch diameter there.
yeah, if it makes the ride better, that's all that matters. If we can make it more fun, I don't care what the numbers are. If the fun factor goes up, the numbers don't matter.
Exactly, yeah. I agree. But I mean, there's going to be a point where it's like, should we go bigger? Because like, you're not going to be, riding 46-inch tires, 48-inch tires. That's just going to
Hey, I'll
be.
do it.
I
I'll
mean,
do it if it's fun.
if someone releases it,
Maybe
and
that's a
it
video idea. Gotta
Like
build
those-
yourself a 46-inch wheel
Yeah,
bike.
those old original. I forget what those original Pullman, like the original giant front wheel bikes with the guy sitting on top and the little tiny
Oh
back
yeah, and
wheel.
they went around in the wraps to get the laps. Yeah, things are fun. Never been on one. They look
Pretty
fun,
sure
though.
IFHT, haven't they done something with like? Or I don't think they actually did, but
Bigger
they
is
had
better.
like some 36-inch wheel that they had.
Yeah, because I was sketched out. 'Cause
I
I had
don't
like
think.
a 27.5 cross country bike, and I'm like, do I go for the 29er? Do I not go to the 29er? And then I kind of went to the 20. Never going back. If I see 27.5 plus,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not going back. Unless it's like a 27.5 plus, because it's basically a 29er, but 29er is the way. Yeah.
Yeah,
29
I
is
love it.
nice. It rolls over everything, and you don't like with the 27.5. You kind of get stuck in all the little roots and whatnot. The 29ers just go right over it.
I've never
It's
had
crazy how
anything other than 27.5.
is your new
So I
bike
wouldn't know.
29?
No, my new bike's 27.5.
Really?
So I still haven't
29er.
actually
No
ridden a
29er.
29. I've ridden your bikes, but those are just around parking lots and stuff. So I haven't actually had a proper experience with a 29. But maybe. I don't really
One day.
care. I don't think it really makes an actual difference that's worth like the amount of arguing and like fights that go on
Yeah.
in the 27.5 versus 29. I don't know if it's really worth that much debate, but
At the end of the day, if you're shredding and having fun, it's a win for everyone.
That's all that matters.
exactly.
Yeah. I like the playfulness of a 27.5 though. Especially it's just, I don't know, feels a little bit easier to just lift up the back end. You're going over some things.
Yep, tight turns and stuff.
I
Which, I
asked
mean,
you
I-
before your favorite place that you ever rode. So now I'm wondering, what's the least favorite? What's the most disappointed place, or what's your least favorite place? Like what wasn't
The
good?
big
Like just
hype, but
wasn't good.
at least return.
Man, there's been I've been lucky enough that most of everything that I ride is stuff that people recommend, you know? And thinking back to Tibet, going to China, and like that was just such a crazy cool adventure, but the trails themselves were just like weird fire roads and just like was this a thing? And it's funny because that I think China is just building so many roads and like building that they had run that trip like 2 or 3 years in a row. And the year before, it was actually single track on a few of the places that we did. But then the next year, it's just a road. It's like, what the heck? What was this? What is this? So as much as it was like a weird, as much as the riding wasn't the best, the adventure going to Tibet and China and seeing all that stuff was like once in a lifetime for sure, and totally worth it.
I said before,
Yes.
you're living the dream, mountain biker's dream. I hope we
Yeah,
can get there someday.
yeah, go travel, ride everything. That'd be wicked. So
Yeah,
I
man.
have a
It's all
question.
out there.
When I first emailed you, probably 5 years ago, maybe 2016,
2017.
2017, you had like maybe 50 to 80,000 subscribers, somewhere around there. You're now over 400,000. What were your hiccups? Like the bumps along the way. Was there ever like an issue
Yeah.
where how do I engage my audience to the next level? Like I'm making the Viking videos. How do I go that next step further?
It's a good
You know,
question because I think a lot of people look at YouTubers, especially the ones that are super successful, and you just think that like, oh my God, it's like their life is perfect. They just put on a GoPro or something, or they just turn on a camera, film a video, and now they're making so much money and they're doing whatever they want and stuff like that. But you never really hear about the things that aren't so perfect and good.
yeah, it's funny when you look at the subscriber number, it's kind of pointless. It's kind of doesn't mean anything. I'm not getting 400,000 views on every video. My videos, like my views and stuff, they go up, they go down, they go medium, they go low, they go high, and it's all about what am I doing? What am I making? Am I making stuff that people actually want to watch? Are people actually getting excited about it? Are people getting fired up? That's why the 50 state shred was pretty cool, because I think it got people really engaged and people like, oh man, what's next? What's going to happen? And that idea of giving people something to look forward to, and just like, oh, what's like, people always talk about Redemption 17, and that was just this really fun road trip that I did with the single track sampler, and we were always giving them something to look forward to. What are they going to do next? Oh man, the energy's so fun and the videos are so good. And going to the UK, like when I went to the United Kingdom, finally England and Scotland and Wales, and those videos did really good. So it's like these big events, and you can you can build your channel around trying to do the biggest, baddest stuff and build events. But then you can get your head totally screwed up of like, everything I do has to be a home run. I can't just put on a camera and go ride. So like I've kind of had to reset myself and say, no, it's okay to just put on a camera and go ride and go make a video that maybe not that many people are going to watch, but you just go out and do it, and people are going to like it. There are going to be people to find it, but it's not going to hit 1 million views, and it's not going to just break out and be crazy. YouTube is just such a weird place. There's plenty of my videos that have like 500,000 views or 1 million views where it's like, I don't know why this is better than any of the other ones I've ever made. Like it has a cool, usually it's the thumbnail and the title, but even some of those are like, I don't know. It's just as good as anything else, but people like YouTube recommended it more and people seem to watch it more, and off to the races it goes.
That's really cool. And like when you do the whole like 50 state travel thingy, or you go to Europe and whatnot and ride the trails, you get into a bigger audience, because it's like people that film videos and they'll film the same thing. Like everyone's got a video at Whistler, but like not too many people have a video of them going like traveling in Europe and riding some of the cool things there. So like from like North American people, it's really cool to see like what other parts of the world have. Because like when you really think about it, what we have in like Canada and the US, it's similar in some way. And then when you go to, and it's like just a completely different landscape.
Yeah. And that's what I love about my channel and my value that I'm trying to offer is that if you see something on my channel, you probably can go ride it. It probably is a trip. There probably is something. Not everything I do is like, you know, when I went to Kenya with Adam, that's just, he invited me there and we just went and rode around his backyard kind of thing. And it was amazing, but it's not really a trip that someone would be able to do. There's not really hotels. There's not really infrastructure. But for most of my trips, there's some kind of infrastructure. And it's like, yes, that is possible. You can go to Revelstoke. You can go to the Alps. You can go here and go there and go do it yourself. And kind of me showing off all that stuff, it's just the best.
Yeah, that's sick. Like, yeah, that's cool. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it
During
is.
your 50 state shred, when you were traveling around in your van, was there ever times that you felt maybe a little worried or sketched out or scared, just based on the area you were in, or that can apply to any of your travels, if there were any other, if there were uh, ever any places in which you were afraid, scared?
Yeah, it's funny. When you sleep in the van, it's actually almost better if there's like a hustle and bustle and you're at like a Walmart parking lot or a gas station, because there's just people coming and going and it kind of like freaks you out a little bit. But then when you go park out in the middle of nowhere where it's really quiet, and then you hear then you hear a noise and you're like, what the heck is that? No, like then you get even more scared, even though you're in the safest, nice desert campground or whatever. So there was never any moment where I was like, oh, I gotta fight. Something's gonna go down here. But it's funny getting used to sleeping in the van where you kind of can sleep better when it's kind of white noise happening, and then when it's just pure silence, it's like,
Do you have any like van issues, breakdowns, or anything?
no breakdowns. I had to get a couple oil changes because I drove so much.
Yeah.
My yeah, I can't think of anything that really went wrong. Luckily, I mean, it's a brand new van, so you know,
exactly.
hopefully it wouldn't like conk out on me. But I can't think of any like flat tires or cracked windshields or anything that really set me back. And it would have been in the videos. That's the thing about my life. It's like if it was something really crazy, it would have been in the videos, and we would all remember that time. Like, oh man, the axle broke.
How many miles? How many miles did you do in that van?
You know, off the top of my head, I think I did 48. I think the van has about 48,000 miles right now.
Wow. And you started at 0?
Yeah, yeah,
around?
just around 0. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe 100 or maybe 28. I think the van had 28 miles on it when I first got it in October 2019. Yeah.
That's 77,000 kilometers for those
Yeah.
Canadians.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's like our average, I think, where I am at least, is around 20 to 24,000 kilometers a year. So, that's a lot. In that short
Definitely
period.
back and forth across the U.S. like a few times and up and down, and sometimes you're like, man, it already has been 10,000 miles, because you try to get an oil change every 10,000 miles, and like,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
that's funny. That's pretty cool, though. Love to get a van and bike it out.
Yeah, it's the right way to do it. It's really awesome just to have it. And even now that I'm done with the 50 state shred, I think I'll always have the van, because it's just so nice as a weekend thing. You put the bikes in there, you put all your clothes and gear, you know you have all the clothes and gear, you have the bed, you have the sink. It's just very comfortable to drive and park, and it's just a perfect little adventure mobile.
Do you feel like you have like an emotional attachment to that van? Because it's like you in that van have traveled like all over the U.S., all over the place, did so much with the van and whatnot. So it's like, do you feel like there's just something that would stop you from ever getting rid of that?
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I haven't really had much emotional attachment to many of my cars previously, but the van, there's definitely another level of, man, I met Sarah, I had, traveled all these places, did all this stuff. It's very much like, oh, dang, it'd be tough. It'll be tough one day to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy.
Very crazy. Wow.
Your channel is almost 5 years old. I looked at it. It's April 4th, I think.
Yep, April 4th, 2016.
So, are you anything special for the 5 years?
I hadn't actually thought. I got to start kind of thinking about it. Maybe I'll do a live stream. That'd be kind of a fun little way to celebrate, because I've done little like videos before and nobody watches the videos. Nobody cares. It's like the very core audience of people, versus when you do a live stream, even if there's only 500 people watching, it feels like a million, because you can interact with everybody and you can have so much fun, and it just feeds me so much. And I just really enjoy doing those live streams, and that's one way to celebrate for sure.
How does it feel coming up on 5 years? Does it feel like you've been doing this forever, or does it feel like it was just yesterday that you started posting
Oh
videos?
man, it's both. It's really both, because it's like, dang, oh yeah, when I started, it was such a long time ago, but not long ago at all, and it still feels fun, and I'm not burned out on it, and there's still a million places that I haven't ridden that I need to ride to show to you guys. So it's very cool. Like, as far as making it or doing as well as I want to do or hitting all my goals, I kind of knew this was like a 10-year process, that it's going to take 10 years or so to really develop into something and create different things off of this, my YouTube business versus other businesses that I want to start and try to solve other problems. So I do feel like I'm making progress, and it's still going to take another 5 years or something to really hit home as many home runs as I want to hit.
So when you say
When
other
did you
businesses,
realize?
go ahead, Alex.
Okay,
Go ahead.
sorry. When did you realize, at what point through your YouTube journey did you realize, like, wow, I'm kind of like a big YouTuber? Or when did you realize that you had made it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's funny. I still don't think I'm that big of a YouTuber, even though subscriber wise, if you look at other subscribers and that kind of thing, I am a bigger YouTuber and stuff. But just quitting my job, just knowing like around 50,000 subscribers or whatever I was at, or 30,000, whatever it was like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I have enough. And when I made that My Time Is Up video and talking to people saying, hey, I need you guys to help me out on Patreon. Let's do this. I'll do extended cut videos. You'll get something for your money. You're trading your money for your time, and I can produce something that you might find valuable. And it was just the perfect timing and the perfect, like, okay, I think my first month on Patreon was maybe $500, and then maybe it was $800, and then it was $1,200. So just having that, once it hit a nice level where it's like, okay, I could pay my rent for this, I could travel with this, that's when I felt like I made it. When you can make it full time, when the income is there, because there's people that have millions of views and millions of subscribers and they never quit their job. Like, there's YouTubers that maybe they're even making millions of dollars, but they can't take the leap to like quit their job and actually do stuff, and it's like still too scary. And I did it with like almost no income, and it made me feel like this is the milestone, this is all that matters. And that's all that matters, is like making that switch to independent and doing it fan funded, fan built, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is like, when you realize, hey, I can quit my 9 to 5 job every day and I can do this YouTube thing, like, what did people think? Do they think you're crazy, or like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
so funny because
tell
it's
someone, hey, I'm
unknown.
gonna
It's
ride my bike, make videos, post
Yeah.
them to the internet, make a living off of it. People are like, oh, you're insane.
Totally. And it's funny. My family was always supportive, but just like none of us really know. And that's the thing. None of us have any idea whether the bike shop's still going to be in business tomorrow, or the hospital you work at is still going to be in business. Everything is a crapshoot. Everything goes up and goes down and fails and gets reborn. So just the fact of like, nope, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to do it. Let's see what happens. It's totally crazy. No, none of us know anybody who ever became a YouTuber full time. It's like, it's not a thing. It's like, you might know somebody who made it to the NFL more than you know somebody who became a YouTuber. Like, it's like so crazy and weird. But that's the thing about life and taking risk and chances. They can judge you, they can laugh at you, they can support you, but they're not with you every single day, every single minute, doing the work, being there. Everyone from afar is going to be like, ha, 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 but they're going to still be laughing at their normal job and their normal life, and never really do anything or excel, because you have to take risks to excel, and you have to just push yourself out of your comfort zone to ever get anything worthwhile in life.
Exactly. And like, to go on to that, like that push and date, I've been like lucky enough that Alex came onto the channel with me because past few years, you know, been very difficult, like family issues, you know, whatnot, personal issues in my life. And it's like, I was really lucky to have Alex there, who's able to, you know, help me bring that channel to the next step, even though I wasn't necessarily there all the time. So yeah, just it's
Yeah,
great.
having a partner. I mean, just I'm very much in a vacuum, but I have Seth and I have Alexander and a bunch of other YouTuber guys where I can bounce ideas off of. But having a partner right there all the time, oh, we could do this, oh, we could do that. Like it's very, very healthy for if you guys can get along. It's super good for ideas and production and all that stuff. So you're pretty lucky to find a good partner.
For sure.
Yeah, I like I have been kind of, if you look at the videos, I'm the one that appears in a lot of them, but like people don't really understand that it's not just like me doing all the work just because I'm the one in the video. Like there's still a lot of things that happen behind the scenes and stuff like that. Even though like it's more than it comes to the eye. So even though Sebastian's not always a huge giant presence on the channel as much as I know we both want him to be, you know, we still are able to manage. And
Get
have
through
you
it.
ever had trouble staying motivated with your channel? Have you ever had moments where you've lost motivation?
You
And
know,
how did you overcome it?
it's tough because I've been lucky enough where you got to fight through those moments. You know, as a full timer, it's like, hey, this is it. I've already burned the bridges. This is what I'm gonna do. And you know, I've read about burnout and watched videos about burnout, and it kind of comes down to when the effort you put in doesn't get rewarded. You know, when you work and work and work so hard on something and then it comes out and then nobody cares. That's what the burnout, when you do a cycle of that where you release 10 videos and just, they just, nobody cares, nobody likes it. It keeps getting lower and lower. And, you know, my life is built on views and hits and clicks and, it's, my whole life is like a measuring stick every time. It's like a scoreboard every single time. Like, oh, okay, people care, people don't care. Oh no, the score's going down. I'm dying out here. So that burnout thing is always real. But as a creator, it's like, God, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. And if you make something amazing, people will respect it. They will respond to it. If you inform, if you entertain, if you can get something really magical out there, which is the hardest thing in the world, obviously, because there's millions of YouTubers out there, and
Exactly.
it's everybody's competing for that attention. But it is tough. But I have my moments, but you know, luckily I always have my breakthrough things too, where I do something on Patreon and people are like, oh man, this is amazing, this is great, and it kind of fires me up again.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you're going into a video, making a video, you don't know what the reaction is going to be in terms of view. Like, for example, I filmed a bike trek video. It was a 3 minute long video. I filmed it in 10, 15 minutes on my iPhone. And, you know, Alex, we threw it together and posted it. And it was the top video on the channel for months, right? Got like well
Yeah.
over, what's it at now? 15K about views? Just
Yeah,
under?
but it's around 11K. But our two
Oh,
top videos
okay.
are around 11K. Well,
So it's
over
like, and then
11K.
we'll put in all this effort, you know, we'll go drive 3 hours, put all this effort, you know, get all the cameras, get all the wicked shots and whatnot. And we're
Week of
going,
editing, a whole week
yeah,
of editing.
getting that
And it
music
just-
perfectly cut. And it's like, the video just kind of just sits there and it's like,
Yeah.
you gotta be like, yeah.
But the thing is, it's like you guys are doing this, you're so young. Like if you can spend year after year after year, as long as you're still diligently improving your skills and learning and being like, oh, the audio, oh, we could do better on the audio. Ooh, we could do this. We could do this with the video. Wait, what if we tried this lens instead of that lens? If you guys are still improving your craft all along the way, you don't know what kind of opportunities can pop out of like, oh, wow, now we could film commercials for, you know, the bike shop and sell that to them for $5,000 because they would normally pay $10,000 for something so well put together and so, you know, filmed so great. But you guys have been just spending all this time for zero money building your school skills, just doing your own school. And eventually, I know you guys put out more than 100 videos, right? Like right at 100 videos. Like when you just keep doing it, keep grinding, keep producing.
Every week, Sunday at 12.
Yeah, you only get better because of it, and it will pay off.
What do you think the
We hope
hardest
so.
milestone for you was to hit? 1,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers?
Yeah.
Or was it like a view mark on the channel? Because like one thing we're seeing is like monetization, to be able to monetize your videos 5 years ago is so much easier. I think you only needed something like 5,000 channel views or something like that, and you
Yes.
could have just been
But
monetized instantly.
but
Now,
you would only be making $3 a month. Like it's
exactly,
like you're not
exactly,
missing out
yeah,
on anything until you actually hit the real. It's a hurdle. It sucks, but
yeah.
it's like even at the thing where you can get monetized, I don't even know if it would be more than $100 a month kind of thing. So you're not missing out on anything. So it's about creating the videos that people really like and want to get to and are dying to have information about, and just focusing on that, the end user, the people. Who is the person watching this? Why do they care? What do they want to see? And there's so many channels that have just blown up out of nowhere because they are giving people what they want to see. Kyle and April doing all kinds of good tutorials, learning how to corner, learning how to bunny hop. People are just dying for that information, and they find a way to really package it really nicely and just shoot off to the moon. So there's a million things that people want to know. And when I load up YouTube, I'm like, man, there's nothing to watch. What is going on here? I want to watch something good, and I can't find anything good. So it's up to you guys to make something good.
We're trying.
So, would you say making videos that aren't necessarily like, you have a mountain biking channel, and like, Seth has done it, and he's gone and done the RC videos. Do you think that's a good idea for the channel to do? Because like indirectly, his RC stuff can relate in a way to mountain biking, like RC, outdoors, off-roading, whatnot. Like, I was just thinking, because I had a few ideas for like videos or video series, but it's like I'm debating if it's like, the right, going in the right direction for the channel. Have you ever
I
had
think
that
it's
like
all good. I think it's just totally fine to just explore your creativity and go off of it. Don't create a second channel. Don't create a third channel. Just keep it all on your one channel, and just do stuff. Explore, try stuff you don't know. Like people get so, especially once you get to a higher level on YouTube, you're like, oh God, you don't want to, the beast. Like we don't want to anger the beast of YouTube, and they're going to shut us down if we try this or try that. And then you never know what actually might be super popular. And even just doing it and getting it out there and creating something, it's so worth it. And just do it on your normal channel. Who cares? People get a little weird when they see something they're not expecting. Like I've done some of the short videos on YouTube, and people are like, whoa, what is this? Versus when you post it on Instagram, people are like, oh my God, this is amazing. So don't be afraid. Just do it. Don't overthink it. As long as you're creating, just keep creating.
Yeah, because there's some like YouTubers, it's like they got 4 channels. It's like, oh, I don't know which one to like keep track of now. So, and then, you'll have others that are like, they started off as like vloggers, and now they're car YouTuber, whatnot. So it's really interesting when you can like just watch everyone there and see it.
Definitely.
If you were to start a new channel, or like a new channel, and it can't be about bikes, it's like has to be something completely different. What's another thing you would make a channel on?
I would do like home building, like home renovation. I love that stuff. I love nerding out on like DIY, home improvement, tools, like all that, like going through old crazy crappy attics and like cleaning them out and making them all fresh and new. And that's total. I totally would do that.
That'd be sick. I'd watch it. Those DIY videos are fun to watch. It's very satisfying too. It's like somebody can take something that looks so bad and then just like in the span of a 10-minute video, you can just see it all like finished and nice and complete.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we're past an hour now, or around that area, so I feel like we could just keep talking forever, but um Seb, anything you want to ask, anything you want to
Uh,
add?
Not really. Not really, no. Brian, you have any questions for us?
No, I'm good, man. That was really cool. I am glad. I was honored to be your first guest, and hopefully first of many.
Perfect. I mean, we'd love to have you back on it again, and maybe we can, touch on some different topics or whatnot later on in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was really good.
It was
This
an
was
honor
fun.
to have you on it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Before we hopped on, we were so nervous. We're like, oh my gosh, we're having Brian on. We thought it was going to be super awkward and like it'd be hard to, have a conversation. But for the last hour. It's been a great conversation, a great time having you on here. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Nope.
Thank you guys so much for watching our very first podcast episode. We hope you enjoyed. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at EveryDayBiking. If you want to see these live in the future, then and join our mighty live audience of I think about like 13 people, then make sure to join our Discord using the link in the description. Make sure to follow BKXC if like there's
Haven't
2%
already,
chance
but
that you're not like who wouldn't be. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. And we'll see you guys next week. See ya.
and thank you, Brian, for coming out.
My pleasure.
Have a good
I'll
day.
see you on the trail.
Yes.